based on the early preliminary conversation that we're having here, for clients like you, for initiatives that we've done like this in the past, on the high end, it's looked like $500,000 in spend. On the low end, maybe 100. Hey everyone, I'm Shannyn Lee, the managing director at Win Without Pitching, and I'm happy to be back with you today to answer another Ask Me Anything question. So we had a great question come in from a client who is just kind of working through the nuance and sometimes what can be the struggle around establishing pricing in your sales conversations. And I think what he's up against is likely what many are up against. And so I'm just going to read the question as he sent it along. He says, interestingly, many of our prospects say, well, we don't really have a budget for it. What do you guys think it should be? What should we spend? What should the budget be? He's kind of feeling in some cases like this is a ploy, and maybe he's not doing a good enough job sniffing through that and getting to the actual budget. That's okay. Maybe that's one way to think about it. But I think there are a lot of other ways to think about it that might kind of be more appropriate and kind of relieve some of that pressure in that moment in the sale. I think a lot of times, honestly, clients don't know what the budget should be, and they're looking for your guidance to help set that. So a couple things, many things come to mind for me. Let's see if I can keep this somewhat short and sweet. I like to remove the language budget, if possible, from these conversations. I like to use the language, have you allocated funds for this initiative? Asking if things have been allocated tells you, is this actually earmarked, or do we need to go help them make the case to get the budget? I also like the idea of, what kind of an investment are you looking to make in this initiative? Because it shifts the conversation away from like, how much are you going to cost me as the agency, to what is the right range of investment that I need to hit this vision? Then begins a deeper dive into the conversation. If somebody doesn't really know how much it's going to cost, then there are a couple things you can do. The first one is give them a range. Let them know, like, hey, based on the early preliminary conversation that we're having here, for clients like you, for initiatives that we've done like this in the past, on the high end, it's looked like $500,000 in spend. On the low end, maybe 100. You can then see what's their reaction and kind of gauge where you go next based on that. But I also think the bigger thing is not to get too hung up on solutions that you've brought to bear in the past for what may feel similar. First, do your job of like assessing what's really going on here. Is the problem or the solution that the client is bringing to me actually correct, right? Or do we need to have a first step of a diagnostic to really suss out what's going on and then set the investment or the budget more appropriately? I think the other thing that you want to do is remember, in the qualifying conversation, you're just looking for financial fit. You're not looking to get agreement on this is what it's going to cost. So even just a general range can set you up to have a productive value conversation where you really learn, what is that client's desired future state? What are the metrics they think are important? How are they being measured on success? And really begin to tie the range of investment needed to that well-informed conversation, so that you're tying it to their vision, right? Tying it to something real, tying it to outcomes you think you can deliver and what the value of those outcomes might be. So I think it's just resetting some things for yourself to help you to understand that sometimes clients don't really know. Don't feel like you have to go on the defensive, or they're playing a game with you. Get into a conversation around it and see what's really going on there. And if they're bringing you an initiative and they've got a self-diagnosed brief, feel free to raise your hand and check in on why they think that's the right answer. And are they open to looking at the challenge, or the engagement in other ways? So there's a lot to unpack here, but hopefully this is helpful enough to kind of get you down the road. Keep those questions coming. We really appreciate them. I enjoy answering them on our YouTube channel. You can check us out on YouTube, follow, subscribe, so you see when new videos are loaded. Check out our website, www.winwithoutpitching.com, to learn more, read great articles, check out the books, check out our upcoming workshop. We appreciate the time you spend out there letting us know how it's going, and certainly feel free to send those questions along. Cheers, everybody.